I know, it's true.
Hey, ladies, welcome to the Empowered and Unapologetic podcast. I'm your host, Veronica Cisneros. Today's guest is back for round two. She is a certified professional organizer and clutter whisperer on a mission to help you banish your personal clutter monster, take control of your stuff, and create a life you're truly proud of. Star looks at the deeper meaning of your stuff to help you figure out why you feel overwhelmed by your clutter in the first place. She has appeared on over 30 TV shows, given a TEDx talk, and shared her fitted sheet folding secrets with Oprah and her fans. Her unique methodology has helped thousands of people get and stay organized when nothing else works. Hey, Star.
Hey, it's so good to be back.
I know, I'm so excited.
Me
So
too.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I can't wait to have this conversation because this is a conversation that most people don't even think about having, let alone put any energy towards. So I'm so stoked to be giving this,
Bingo.
having this conversation and sharing this with your listeners. Yeah, stoked.
Absolutely. Well, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell the audience to grab a pen and paper because you guys are going to definitely need to take notes. So, Star, lead the way. We are covering kids today.
Yes, we are talking about how do you get your kids organized. And I loved this. So in 2023, earlier this year, Marie Kondo came out and said that she's given up on tidying. And I think every parent on the face of the planet was like, thank God.
Thank you,
It's
Jesus.
just
Please,
oh,
thank you.
seriously.
Yes.
Because, she had, I think that was her third kid she had in 2021. And, she always was a proponent of, kids can organize. You just teach them to tidy. And anyone who has kids, let alone multiples, is like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
yeah, sure, you're doing that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
adorable. How many nannies do you have?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it was so nice when she said that. And I love her for saying that because, yes, we have to let go of the reins. There's keeping tidy for ourselves and for, keeping up with the Joneses,
Yeah.
basically, like looking good for other people, looking good for Pinterest or Instagram. And then there's really being a family, really embracing being a community. And so when we look at how do we get kids to organize, we have to start top down. Top down,
Yeah.
it starts with you. They
Hell
are going to
yeah.
model everything you do. You leave your shoes out, they're going to leave their shoes out because you
Mm-hmm.
set the tone. So first, being a role model. And look, I had 3 stepdaughters. It is intense. You see things mirrored back at you that you're like, not today,
Mm-hmm.
Satan. Like, yeah, I didn't even know some of my bad habits until I saw them mirrored back at me. So
Yep.
I get it, but that's the beauty of children. They get to help us elevate and really see how we can grow and learn and evolve. And so first and foremost, be a role model. Don't expect them to do something that you don't do yourself because that's not what they're learning through your example.
Yep. Yep. I agree. And it's interesting because you're 1,000% right. When we're kids, when we're kids, that ability to go ahead and rationalize, that prefrontal cortex, that prefrontal lobe, that's not fully developed. And so
Completely.
we're watching life play out the way it plays out, and we're very much emotionally driven, and we are 1,000% repeating what we're seeing modeled. And I know for me, it really hit me in the ass when my daughters were like late to all of these things. And it's like, why the hell are they late? Like, get it together. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm totally late all the time. Like,
It's what they
apple
learned.
doesn't, yeah, the apple
Well,
doesn't fall far from the tree.
and I have to say, it's like when I share these tips today, I want everyone listening to take a deep breath and know that, Mama, you are doing a kick ass job. You
Yep.
are doing an amazing job. I don't care if you just snapped at your kid in the car. I don't care if you
Mm-hmm.
spilled stuff all over. I don't care if you had a short temper. You are doing a great job. There is no owner's manual for them. They are all different. It is so difficult. So, this is a perfectly imperfect journey. You get to start over every minute. And the
Yep.
beauty of kids is they're always learning. They're little sponges. So even if you lose your temper or you do something that you don't prefer, or you've been setting a bad example, a quote unquote bad example, at any moment you get
Mm-hmm.
to repair and
Yep.
say, hey, I've been really running late and I'm noticing that it's really making people feel disrespected and making me feel stressed. So I'm going to work on being more on time. Do you want to do that with me and make
Yep.
it collaborative?
I love it. I love it. Let's go through the steps. Star, you're taking over.
All right, I'm on. You relax. You work so hard. I will take care of this. Don't even, well, this is like an impossible thing. I'm just going to name that, like, it is kind of impossible. Like this, so what I'm doing is I'm like throwing spaghetti at a wall, and some of it
Mhm.
is going to stick and much of it is
Yes.
just going to fall to the floor, man.
Mhm.
And what sticks for one kid is not going to stick for another. So,
Mhm.
like, deep breaths, lots of patience. Parenting is insanity. It just is. Okay. So the next thing that I will say is we have to educate them and invest in them. If you think back to your childhood, did anyone sit down and teach you how to fold something, or teach you how to clean your room, or teach you how to scrub a toilet?
Mm. They taught me when I did it wrong by
Right.
discipline, right?
Yes, totally. You know what you did wrong. You were never taught to do it right. You were
Mhm.
just expected to automatically do it. Now, look, I also know that this is difficult because you're running a mile a minute. And
Yeah.
so, who wants to slow down and really teach their kids how to do it right? Most people don't perceive that they have the time for that. And it's the most important thing. You want to know why your kid's not launching. You want to know why your kid doesn't know how to fry an egg. You probably never took the time to teach them. And it makes a really good case for slowing our lives down. We don't
Yeah.
need to be tackling so much. Your kid doesn't need to be the best violinist and soccer player and on track for a scholarship and like, slow down. Like, you only have, I think, what is the stat that they say that you've spent 70% of the time that you will ever spend with your child by the time they're 12.
Oh, don't tell me that you're gonna give me a heart attack right now.
I know it's
I'm all
but I know
mine's
it's
gonna be 13 in like next week.
I know it's like, well, and to anyone listening, I don't know the stats. I know that that's approximate, but like, we're in that neighborhood. But it's like, that's terrifying because it's like, whoa, did I want them running and doing 8,000 things? Like, and
Yeah.
yes, it's competitive, but that's also driving them to stress and overwhelm and mental health issues. So allow yourself to slow down and make time for, like, educating them. One of the there's like a great tool. AI is like the best worst, right? Like, I don't want to eliminate anyone's jobs. I don't want to eliminate human creativity, but sometimes they just get it so right. So there's a tool called goblin.tools forward, and if you go to goblin/tools, you can type in anything and you can say how to clean a bathroom, and it will give you a step-by-step system for how to clean a bathroom.
Oh, wow.
Because, yeah, when your mom
Love it.
says clean the bathroom, you're like, oh, I don't know what that means. And you just do what you see. I will never forget. I was one of my former partners. He would clean the kitchen and he'd be like, babe, the kitchen's cleaned. And I'd walk into the kitchen and I was like, this place is a mess. There's dishes in the sink. And then I'd walk out of the kitchen when it was my day to clean the kitchen and I'd say, babe, the kitchen is clean. And he's like, what are you talking about? The stove is filthy. But there were no dishes in the sink. And I was like, wow, our version of done
Mhm.
is very different. And unless we come together and figure out, like, what's our agreement, it's really hard. So just giving kids a list, like, here's a list of how to do cleaning, making your bed, cleaning your bedroom, so that they know how to do it. It also helps them start to process time,
Yeah.
like, okay, how long does it actually take for me to do this? And all of this is super, super important for kids to have. They need to know the steps of how to do it. And we have to slow down. And I know a lot of your listeners are entrepreneurs, and it really is. I mean, I'm onboarding a new assistant right now. It is it
Girl.
is, oh my God.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
feel so stressed. I've got a headache today. I can't wait to lay down tonight. Every day's been long. I'm done. It's like, and she's lovely, but it takes so much to slow down and teach. And
Yeah.
it's so painful. So I get the challenge. And there is no bigger investment in your life than your children.
Yeah.
Like, it is your legacy. It's what you're sending out into the world to kind of like continue the beautiful work you've done. It's worth investing in them.
1,000%. I appreciate this step three. And the reason why I appreciate it is because I didn't think about it in that way. There is this expectation for my clean to be their clean, but without proper instruction, they're not going to know. And I just start thinking about, like, their bathroom, or, sometimes my kids will say, well, you know, Josephine didn't pick up my clothes. And it's like, okay, first off, you need to pick up you need to pick up your stuff. Like, wait a minute, but it's helping them understand, like, these are the tasks that we're going to give maybe like somebody that's, cleaning our house, and these are the tasks that you are in charge of, and this is in this way I want this done.
Yeah, and there's a reason why chore charts are everywhere because they work, because we all have so much going on inside of our minds. Now, we as adults do. Can you imagine? That is the first time your child has ever seen the color tangerine, or it's the first time they're ever witnessing the sport rugby being played. They are ingesting so much information, and they
Mm-hmm.
have this amazingly beautiful mind that is going to all sorts of creative places because they don't have a no button yet.
Yeah.
So they're full. So it helps to have external visual things that they can do. It helps to set a timer. It really does. Like just letting them know, like it helps them again learn about time, because especially if you have kids that are neurodivergent, time may not exist to them and you want to start
Yeah.
teaching them. Just because it doesn't naturally exist doesn't mean that it can't exist or that they can't have an understanding of it. It just takes some
Love it.
tools.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
So,
it.
yeah, the other thing that you want to do is you really want to reward the effort and not the outcome. I don't care if your room looks like a hot, hot mess. Did
Mm-hmm.
you clean it? Did you do the best you could? I remember teaching my stepdaughter, who was 4 at the time, how to fold. And it did not look much better when she was done from when she started. Like it was about the same. But she got to be included. She learned how to do it. Dexterity, it's just not there for them yet. Like we can't expect an adult kind of savviness on these motor skills that we have. And so you just let them show up as they are. So you reward the effort, not the outcome. And you try to be patient. You try to, keep yourself in check when you
Yeah.
want to like attack. Um, and I think one of the biggest things that will help the kids too is to normalize them being included in chores. I don't care if they're a year and a half, if they're toddling around. If you are cleaning the house, give them something that they can do it with you. Let them
Yeah.
experience being part of the family. Like this is very healing and bonding for you all. That it's not a punishment. Like I think of cleaning as a punishment. That's how I was raised. It was something
Yeah.
I didn't want to do. I didn't, and actually the times where I think back where chores were fun, we're doing dishes with all of my cousins. We were
Yeah.
listening to music and talking and laughing and dancing, and it was a joyful time. Try to make
Definitely.
that your organizing and cleaning time. That's going to make them not feel like repelled by it. And it's going to make it actually a really beautiful bonding time for all of you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Um, and we tend to focus on the negative. However, we also don't want to teach our kids that. And we want them to feel some level of hope and some level of appreciation that they are trying their best. And I know for me with the girls, I'm definitely surprised when I do provide, that positive reinforcement, that level of encouragement or even acknowledgement, like how far, they will go to continue to get that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny. I was just working with a client and, her child would come in and they'd be all gruff and like, seem like they didn't care. And I'm like a crazy empath, like just crazy. If you are anywhere else, I will know it. Like, it's just, it's a little too much sometimes, but he walked in after like the third day. I said, that's his way of saying he really wants your attention. And
Yeah.
she was like, what? I was like, he really wants your attention. And she like
Yeah.
stopped and went to him and had like a whole moment. And she's like, Star, thank you. I never would have realized it. And it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense because we are just, there's only so many times you can be told that you're hated, they hate your food, you're the
Yeah.
worst. Like there's only so
Yeah.
many times you can hear that before you are just like hardened and exhausted. So just knowing that, yeah, like they want that positive reinforcement. They want that time with you. Like it doesn't seem like cleaning is bonding time. And it is. If your kid is an acts of service love language, yeah, they are
Yeah.
bonding with you big time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you say is, how many steps do we have
There's
all
one more.
together?
There's just only one more, only
I'm
one
all,
more.
girl, we're getting through these fast.
I don't mess around. Well, I want to hear about you too, and be short and sweet because, who's got time to listen to a full podcast? I know you're listening to me at 2 times right now while you're
Right.
going for your morning walk. I know that. So the last thing that I will say is you have to be really supportive to and present and supportive of people's unique needs. And this is
Oh,
especially true with
yes.
children
Yes.
because we think, oh, it's just organizing.
Yeah.
I remember
Mm-mm.
going into this family's house and they had 2 little girls and they shared a bedroom. And the bedroom was always a mess. And they were blaming the youngest. She's just so messy. She's just so messy. And as I worked with them, I realized that I was like, wow. And first, and I will name also that the youngest daughter had been diagnosed with ADHD.
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
when we kind of started talking about it and we started looking at categories and how they view their toys, the oldest daughter only needed 4 categories of toys. That was all she
Yeah.
needed for her stuff. The youngest daughter needed 12. And it's because with that beautiful neurodivergence, they need more categories to make things make sense. If they have too few categories, they're not going to keep it up. There's
No.
also people who refuse to be organized if it's not pretty. Like,
Yes.
so you have to pay attention to their unique needs, be supportive of it, help encourage them to find their own way. I know so many people who are neurodivergent who had late in life diagnoses of ADHD or, autism. And it's really tricky because you spend the first half of your life thinking there's something wrong with you when there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with you. It's
Mhm.
just that, the world's not made for how your brain works. So as parents, we get to step in and pay attention and be present to them. And the other half of this means us also paying attention to their emotional life, right?
Yes.
Because, we talked about this in the last podcast. Your stuff is an external demonstration of your internal world. So there are lots of feelings tied up in our stuff. There's lots of hopes and dreams and fears and scarcity and overwhelm. And so showing your kids that it's okay to be present to their feelings, present
Mhm.
to their own
Mhm.
unique needs is one of the best things you can do. And it makes organizing a very much a healing art.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love your steps. I love all of your steps. And I'm thankful that you had mentioned, even before sharing step 1, that some of these might not work. Some of
Yes.
them will. And being able to go ahead and identify, like, for your baby, and they're all uniquely different for your baby, which one sticks. And it's kind of like, for my employees, I want to know, like, what excites them. I want to know what their interests are, so that when they're given, let's say, they're given a client that they will heal, or they will help, they will, be excited about, versus them, going in and saying, I don't really feel comfortable with this client, I don't know if I can help. And really developing an understanding of how they work and providing them with the best match, which creates, a successful team, a successful company.
Yes.
With kids, similar, like, finding out, like, what exactly, is, I don't want to say it's, well, yeah, what exactly is beneficial on their end.
Yeah. And what do they like? What do they hate? Like, I will tell
Yes.
you, I love dusting. It is like deep pleasure for me. Like, if I go to someone's house and they haven't dusted, dragging my finger across that dust, oh, like I can't, there's few joys I feel. Doing dishes, walk away. I can't
Mm-hmm.
even, like, I'm like hard pass. No, thank you. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
interested. It's like, and I know people who do dishes and that's how they process their anxiety, or that's
Yeah,
how they kind of like get their yayas out sometimes. Like, I am not
absolutely.
that way. So just tracking like what works for you. And I mean, honestly, who doesn't want someone to deeply give a shit about them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really take
Mm-hmm.
the time to say, what was fun about cleaning your room this time? What was hard? Is there anything that I can teach you that would make it go a little bit easier next time? What
Yeah.
about music? Did music make it go by faster? Was it distracting? Like, helping them understand, because you are not raising a child, you are raising a human
Mm-hmm.
that is going to take what you teach them now and do it when they grow up, and
Yeah.
or do the opposite when they grow up, depending on how they feel about what it is. And so really, yeah, like being present to the nuances. I do the same thing. Like when I hire someone, I always say, what do you love to do?
Mm-hmm.
What of the tasks on your list are you least looking forward to? What feels the
Bingo.
scariest? Because I want to support you where you feel frail, and I want to like let you run when you feel
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
so it's, yeah, it's the same with kids.
I completely agree. And I want to hear from you guys. So as you guys are practicing these steps, we want to hear from you. So Star, for those that are like, hell yeah, like, I'm able to go ahead and put in these actionable steps, I'm able to see these results, I want more. How
Yes.
can they get more? How can they work with
Oh,
you?
You know, I always have more.
Oh, girl,
So
duh.
totally. So you can go to starhansen.com/podcast and I will give you 3 different free gifts. So, or actually 2 gifts and something amazing. So I'll
Yay.
give you a quiz that's the Listen to the Monster in Your Closet quiz, which tells you what monster is hiding in your closet, keeping you disorganized,
Oh,
as
goodness
well as
gracious.
I know, right? It's like scary and
Mm-hmm,
exciting.
mm-hmm.
And a copy of my book, Why the F Am I Still Not Organized?
Yes.
And then actually, and I just want to throw in one more free gift for your listeners because we're talking about starting with small things and like easy things and applicable. So I have a download called 10 things you can do in 20 minutes or less.
Ooh.
Yes. And that's the perfect thing to start with your kids. It's like just choose a small, very tiny, like don't give them their whole room. I would not
Yeah.
make you organize your whole room. That's mean. You got the side table, the bathroom, the closet, like come on, please. So we start small. And so if your listeners go to starhansen.com/10 in 20, 10 in 20,
Mm-hmm.
they can get that handout and it'll help walk them through how do you start small, because most of us have these big aims and we never let ourselves start small. And just like our kids, we have to work in short
Yes.
bursts, like really get some level of like mastery and empowerment around it, and then we can move forward to the bigger things.
I love it. I love it. We will have all of this in our show notes. And then last question. How do we follow you on social media?
Oh my gosh, I'm everywhere. So Instagram is the only one that's a real pain in my booty. So Instagram is at star.hansen. I don't know who has Star Hansen. I want it back. I had it
Right?
once. I let it go. That was a thing.
Oh my goodness.
I know it was like before I knew what
Yeah,
it was
you didn't know.
becoming.
You didn't
I
know.
think it's like a housewife in like Minnesota has it and she
Come
doesn't
on,
care. She never
lady.
checks it. I know. I was like, can I have it back? Everywhere else I'm at Star Hansen, but Instagram is at star.hansen. So you find me. I'm
We're gonna find
everywhere.
you. We're gonna find
Dark
you.
hair, organizing, it's a thing.
Star, I feel like we just took this crash course, not only in parenting, definitely in organizing and self-reflection. This was amazing. This is exactly why I had you on for the second time, because I knew you'd be able to give these listeners value. And I know you guys took notes because I did. Thank you so much for being on the podcast again.
Thank you so much, Veronica. It was so great to be here with you. I loved it.
I'm excited to work with you again because we're definitely going to find another reason to go ahead and meet up.
Yes, please.